we move to some little nuggets of jubilation to get going with this news video, and that is that NXT's next big event is set for May 28th. And it will be NXT Battleground as WWE continues to bring former pay-per-views down to NXT for them to be featured. And this one is one of the bigger pay-per-views because it is not going to be in the traditional arena. It will not be at Full Sail. It will be in Boston, Massachusetts. And also, NXT will be on its own because during that weekend, WWE will be returning or will be in Saudi Arabia for for Queen and King of the Ring. So WWE will not be here, and Ring of Honor will be on its own. Ring of Honor, NXT will be on its own for Battleground on May 28th. But the one thing that is worth noting for this, or one of the things worth noting outside of the fact that NXT has their next pay-per-view announced, is May 28th is also the same day of AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view event. So if you're looking for, this is why a lot of people have two TVs nowadays, because it allows them to watch multiple wrestling pay-per-views at the exact same time. Which, hey, if whatever works. But either way, but that is jumping ahead past NXT Stand and Deliver, which is tomorrow. And that's insane that it is tomorrow, because also tomorrow is night one of Wrestlemania. Speaking of Wrestlemania, according to Nick Khan, who appeared on ESPN Radio, announced the official cards for Wrestlemania Night 1 and Night 2. I will not go over those cards, as we will save the cards and the breakdown for the WrestleMania preview on Night 1 and Night 2 respectively. It's just something I feel like doing, and keeping the cards a surprise for this avenue. Again, like I did in a previous video, I just want to make clear, Ring of Honor has its own video for Supercard of Honor, AEW Rampage still has its preview, and I might be previewing SmackDown as well, as it is the go-home edition of WWE programming before WrestleMania. We do have an update on Don Callis, as Don Callis took a spill last Wednesday on Dynamite after taking a brutal-looking forearm shiver from Jon Moxley. The main thing, when Don took the spill, blood was pouring out of his head when he hit the ground, and there were people that thought he hit the ground, maybe his head hit the concrete, but as it turned out, according to Brian Alvarez, the thing that happened was, Don Callis did not, was not aware of the fact that a lighting truss was behind him, and basically, when he took the spill, his head hit the lighting truss, and he was cut bad. He was cut bad. Blood was pooling out of his head. It was, from what I've heard, so bad you could almost see his skull. So I will say, I hope Don Callis is okay now, and I hope that Don Callis heals 100%, because I, for one, am a fan of the recent program with Don Callis, Hangman, and Kenny Omega. And I've always been a fan of Don Callis, and you never want to see shit like this happen, especially accidental shit, where it's to no fault of anybody. But I do hope Don Callis heals to 100% and can get back to AEW sooner rather than later. Because that's scary shit when shit like that happens, especially when you're bleeding as much as Don was. But we jump back to WrestleMania as there are plenty of surprises planned, and I don't know if these surprises that are planned for WrestleMania itself or WrestleMania weekend, which, as everybody knows at this point, WrestleMania weekend does not end on April 2nd. It ends on April 3rd with the night after WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania. And there are rumors now that WWE Creative are working on plans to bring back Matt Riddle into the fold, who has been gone since last fall, I do believe. I do believe Matt has been gone since last fall. After, I think it was after a stint in rehab. I think that's the common consensus. But there have also been rumors of Big E returning. There have also been rumors of Randy Orton returning. There have also been rumors of this person returning and that person returning. Nick Khan, in his appearance again, where he spoke about the WrestleMania card being set in stone, he also noted that there are plenty of surprises planned for WrestleMania weekend. A plethora of surprises, and a bunch of, well, as it says, as I have it written down, it's written down as a bunch of surprises for WrestleMania weekend. And, I mean, you don't realize, I gotta say, you don't realize how many people were on the injured reserves for WWE until you start talking about the amount of people that are on the injured reserves. And you're like, oh shit, there is a lot of people on the injured reserves. You know, maybe, you know, I didn't even realize. I mean, honestly, I will be frank, I totally forgot that, you know, I honestly totally forgot that AJ Styles was injured. I honestly totally forgot that AJ Styles was injured. No offense to AJ, it slipped my mind. It slipped my mind. The original plan for Carmella, who was initially supposed to be featured in the showcase match for the women's division, was removed in favor of Piper Niven. Honestly, I think it had something to do with, or they could basically equate it to something having to do with Chelsea Green's gimmick of being a Karen, and, you know, write it off as something like that. But it is a shame that Carmella's not going to be featured in WrestleMania, and I do hope Carmella gets featured in some point, or if she isn't, that everything is okay, because, again, you never want to see somebody get injured, especially this close to WrestleMania. But I do hope Carmella's okay. Speaking of people we hope that are okay, Alexa Bliss was initially supposed to be doing something with Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania. And we know from a previous news video that she recently had treatment for skin cancer, which went well. And that is, or could be, one of the reasons why Alexa has been missing from programming. But I, for one, would put out there that, again, you never want to see people miss WrestleMania or miss time in general. And I do hope that everything's okay now for Alexa Bliss, and that she can return to WWE programming sooner rather than later, and maybe move away from Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy and all that stuff, because it's pretty obvious from that standpoint, WWE may not know exactly what they want to do with Bray Wyatt. Especially now with Bray not being featured at WrestleMania either. But it's a shame that because of how things broke down, Bray, Alexa, and Bobby Lashley are all off the WrestleMania card with nothing to do. Speaking of WrestleMania, though, let's get everything WrestleMania out of the way in this video. According to reports, WWE is set to, at some point tonight, have a big, grandiose reveal for the stage of WrestleMania, hosted by Corey Graves and Carmella, and featuring Logan Paul and some sort of skateboarding aspect or skateboarding in maybe a skateboarding reveal for the set of WrestleMania. But it seems like an interesting video, and if you're always one of those people that look forward to seeing the set of WrestleMania, then you'll have the opportunity to see the reveal, as it will likely be streamed or captured in some form on WWE socials. Just keep your eyes open, and you will find out when and what the set looks like. But with that being said, we got a little bit more news to get to before we move to the previews of Rampage and SmackDown. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one.